Hey everybody, Scush here with a video on something that I honestly wasn't expecting. So last night was the PlayStation State of Play, and for the most part nothing there was really interesting to me. We had some new games announced, we had some updates on some games, but what I thought was very interesting was we got a trailer for the announcement of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All Star Battle R. And if you don't know what that is, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All Star Battle was a PS3 fighting game, sort of, that was based on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I never really played a ton of it, but I thought it was a pretty fun game. But it was kind of always stuck on the PlayStation 3, and obviously when Eyes of Heaven came out, which was the PlayStation 4 game, but that was more of a 3D kind of like arena fighter. I enjoyed playing that game, but it was never something I really loved. I definitely preferred All Star Battle from the bit I played of it, but this really seems to be more than just your bog standard kind of port or remaster. So I'm kind of going to go over what we know about it so far, the bits of info that have been released, and some things here and there that are very interesting about what they're actually doing with this game. So having seen the trailer a couple of times now and having looked at the website and the press releases and all that, I've compiled a list together of changes from the original game that I have noticed, as well as little things here and there that other people noticed that I didn't, to just give you a list of things that have changed from the original game. So the first immediate kind of change that I noticed, and I think a lot of other people noticed, was that the colour palettes for pretty much most of the roster have changed to match more with the anime. And at first you kind of don't really notice it, because obviously All Star Battle was a game from quite a few years ago, around 2013 I think. But when I looked back at some of the renders that were released for the game originally for quite a few characters, a lot of the colour palettes are very out there and kind of crazy. One I think that stood out to me is Koichi is like entirely blue for some reason, and like Star Platinum is green. You know, changes that now seem weird because we're so used to the anime colours and everything like that. But they've matched everybody to kind of, you know, how they look in the anime, which I think I've seen some people complain about that, which I do kind of get, because, you know, one thing that's always been a quite popular thing with JoJo is how different characters have different colours across different volume covers and other media. So yeah, in that sense I do think it's a shame to kind of homogenize, but I think at the same time it makes everything look more natural, especially to me. That's my feeling on it. I feel like I look at a lot of these colours and they just make sense to me, so I see why they've done it. But yeah, so that's a cool change. I like that they've done that. They've also added a 2v2 tag mechanic or game mode to the game. I think it's going to be a mechanic because I think they've shown off some of the game modes and they haven't really said anything about a specific 2v2 mode. This of course was not present in the original All-Star Battle. That was a strictly 1v1 game. So it's very interesting to see them straight up just add a new 2v2 system. From what I can tell from the gameplay, it's not like a tag in tag out. It's more kind of like a Marvel or Dragon Ball Fighters type thing, where it's more of an assist than an actual tag. But still a very cool change, and I'm interested to see how it kind of shakes up the gameplay. In terms of the battle system itself, they've said to be adjusting the fighting tempo and adding hit stops and jump dashes to the game. Of course, I'm not a gameplay focused person, so that doesn't really mean anything to me, but I still hope regardless that it adds a new fresh coat of paint to the gameplay, makes it a bit more refreshing for people that are coming back to the game after having played it on PlayStation 3. They've also adding the anime voice actors for characters that have obviously appeared in the anime, which is very interesting because the game's always had a different set of voice actors to the anime. Like, they never cast the video game voice actors. Well, they have, but they never played the same character. Like, for example, the person who plays Anasui in, I think, either All Star Battle or Eyes of Heaven or both, ended up voicing Bucciarati in Part 5. You know, and the person who voiced Johnny in, again, either All Star Battle, Eyes of Heaven or both, ended up voicing Koichi in Part 4. So now Koichi's going to be, so the voice actor for Koichi's going to be voicing Koichi and Johnny in the same game now, which is funny. That is a choice I think is honestly more of a shame, I think, because there were some really good voice actors in those original games. I really liked Jolene's original game voice actor. Obviously Ifuruz, who plays her in the anime, does an amazing job, and I'm not complaining at all about her getting to, you know, play that character in the game. But it is a kind of shame to lose that. I wouldn't mind an option to kind of switch back to those original Japanese voice actors, but at the end of the day it wouldn't be that much of a shame. It's just a kind of shame to lose out on the voice work that they did all those years ago. But in some others, you know, I think it works for the best. I remember Josuke's and Giorno's voice actors not really being that keen on them. I think I much prefer the animes. But yeah, so that's a pretty big thing. I didn't expect them to do that. I was pretty much fully expecting them to just keep the voice actors. I didn't even really think they would change the voice actors at all, never mind, I expect them to keep one or the other. But still, it's very interesting, and it really shows like how much effort's being put into this, like that they went back and recorded, voice actors, like redid voice lines for all these characters. So now we get into the most interesting part of this info, the one that has a lot of people talking about it at the moment, because they seem to be adding 10 new characters to the game. And for those that don't know, when it was all said and done, All Star Battle on PlayStation 3, when all the DLC came out, had 41 characters. And one of those characters was a character called Bao. And Bao is the main character from one of Araki's earlier works called Bao the Visitor. And at the end of the trailer, they show a big kind of splash screen with all the characters from All Star Battle with 10 empty spaces. And Bao isn't on there. And they're advertising 50 playable characters. So if Bao was going to be there, it would be 9 new characters, but there's clearly 10 spaces. So it looks like Bao isn't going to be in the game, which is a shame. I know a lot of people are very bummed about this because he was a very interesting character. From what I heard, he had a very cool playstyle, so it is a shame to lose him. At the same time though, I'm kind of fine with it. Obviously I've not read Bao, so that's why I'm saying this, but I kind of prefer allowing more JoJo characters to make it. So the question is now, who's going to be these 10 characters? And we possibly know about 2 already, and I'll get to them in a minute, but the kind of most obvious choices we have are the characters that they added to Eyes of Heaven. So Eyes of Heaven, which again is the PS4 kind of 3D arena fighter game, they added 11 new characters to the game, and from what I know, Eyes of Heaven used a similar engine, if not the same engine, as All Star Battle. So they kind of followed a lot of the similar graphical styles and all that. But they added Speedwagon, Stroheim, Nadul, Pet Shop, Mariah, Yukiko, Part 4 Jotaro, Trish, Weather Report, Diego Brando from Another Universe, and Joshu. Now the easiest answer is that, they're just going to add these characters to All Star Battle because it would require the least amount of work. They already have models, they already have moves and gameplay. Obviously they would need to change their gameplay to fit with the more kind of 2D but 3D fighter aspect of All Star Battle's gameplay. But what's interesting is that there's only enough room for 10 of these characters, so one of them has to go. And in my opinion, when I first kind of looked at the roster for Eyes of Heaven and looked at who was new, to me the one that stood out the most as getting rid of was Part 4 Jotaro. Which I don't want to get rid of him, but I feel like given we already have Jotaro in the game, they can just make Part 4 Jotaro a skin or a costume for him. I think that would be easy enough to do. But something happened that people noticed that was on the official Japanese site, which kind of threw a wrench into the idea of everybody from Eyes of Heaven coming back. So there are 2 screenshots on the Japanese website that pretty much confirm 2 characters. This is what I was talking about earlier. But one of them is Trish. And Trish isn't a character I'm very shocked at is coming back for this game. She honestly kind of felt like one of the biggest snubs for All Star Battle. She's a popular character, she's from a very popular part, which is part 5. She made sense, I was expecting her to be one of these new characters. The other character though is very surprising and really kind of makes things a lot more interesting, because in the screenshot here, this is kind of a challenge battle screen where you kind of go through different battles and you fight different characters. I think this is one of the new game modes they're replacing the original story mode with, but unless you know what the character's name looks like in Japanese, which I didn't until somebody pointed it out, this character here is Prosciutto. For those that don't know, Prosciutto is a character from Part 5. He's more of a kind of a side villain. He's part of the assassination squad in Passione. He's honestly kind of one of my favourite Part 5 side characters. I really like Prosciutto a lot. Never thought in a million years he would make it playable in this game, or Eyes of Heaven. I never thought he was that popular, but I guess his stock has went up since the anime. But this pretty much, confirms him as being playable, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to fight him. And Prosciutto is in All-Star Battle. He's also in Eyes of Heaven, but he's a background side character, or he's a stage hazard or something. But he has a model in the game. I'll put it here. Obviously not as good as the other models in the game, but it's something that is workable. But what this means is that we're not tied to Eyes of Heaven's characters. We can have characters that weren't in those games, that wasn't in All-Star Battle or wasn't in Eyes of Heaven. And that makes things a lot more interesting, because now the door is wide open. Like, we could potentially have anybody from any part kind of be in this game now, and that really makes things a lot more interesting. I'm not going to speculate though who could make it into the game, because honestly there's just so many characters from JoJo that I couldn't possibly pick this particular character I think is definitely going to make it, because I mean there's already some not weird choices, but some choices that I personally wouldn't have gone for if I was, picking a roster for a JoJo game. People like Akira from Part 4 or Vanilla Ice from Part 3. Nothing against those characters. I think it's cool that they picked, that they went for those kind of oddball characters. But like, there's other characters I would have added way before them. But for me personally, there's probably there's more characters I could think of. But if I had to limit myself to 4 characters that I really wanted in the game, number 1 absolutely is Hot Pants from Part 7. One of my favorite characters from Part 7. One of my favorite characters in JoJo as a whole. Such a cool character. Really gets slept on a lot. Obviously because, Part 7 hasn't been adapted into an anime yet. I'm sure when it does, her popularity will skyrocket. But even in terms of like people who are aware of the manga and have read Steel Ball Run and all that, I feel like she's a character that doesn't really get that much attention, which I think is a shame because I think she's awesome. So definitely 100% want to see her. For a character from Part 8, I really want Jobin Higashikata. He's such a cool character, easily my favorite from Part 8. So definitely want to see him in the game. Hopefully he can get some respect, which he didn't get in Part 8. But yeah, totally want to see him in there. Foo Fighters from Part 6 is a character that I think is a shame that they didn't make it into the game already in All Star Battle or Eyes of Heaven. Would totally love to see them as well. And a kind of out there pick, which I don't expect at all, but a character I really like is Yuya Fungami from Part 4. I really like that character. I really like his stand. Would totally love to see him in the game. And it's like, for me, if we're getting prosciutto, then they're clearly going for some out there picks. So I don't think he's impossible, but I don't expect him. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video today. I just wanted to kind of go over the announcement itself, as well as the info we can gain from the trailer and the website, as well as the speculation about who we could possibly be getting added to the game now that we know we might be getting more than just the Eyes of Heaven characters. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for this game. I know it's funny because I saw a few funny tweets about how sad it is that JoJo fans are so starved for content that we're all getting excited for a 9-year-old PS3 game getting ported. But I think it's a lot more than that. You can tell just from the trailer alone, like how much they're actually doing to the game. They're really going, out of their way to make this, the kind of premier fighting game that represents the whole series of JoJo, which is really cool. Stuff like changing the anime color palettes to adding in new systems and gameplay balances and the anime voice actors. It's like, and even, the idea of possibly getting characters that weren't even in the original All Star Battle or Eyes of Heaven. It's, they're really going out for it, and I'm very interested and very excited for it. I don't know how much content I can actually do on this game, given the stuff I usually do. I do want to do more videos on it. Obviously, I'm a big fan of JoJo. If you haven't seen it already, I did my kind of ranking of the series in a big video a few months ago. There are spoilers for the whole series in there, the manga versions included, but I have marked it, when you can kind of dodge spoilers and all that. But if you've seen the whole series or you don't mind that, go check that out if you want to kind of see my kind of takes and opinions on the whole series. But yeah, I am very excited for this. I think this is going to be a fun game. I hope it kind of leads us to getting a new JoJo game. I think that would definitely be the best case scenario out of all this. But even if we don't, I think this is going to be a very fun game. I hope we get a new community going for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All Star Battle R. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to really talk about. I will try and cover more news as it comes out for the game. As we get more character reveals, I'll probably do more videos on that. Once the game is out, I might do some videos on it, kind of branch out to other things. Might just, even if it's something as simple as me just playing the game, the new battle challenges or whatever it is they're adding. So yeah, definitely gonna be exciting. I am looking forward to kind of doing more content. I did want to do more JoJo content, but because I've already kind of set up my own kind of audience for fighting game content, suddenly switching to anime was a bit much. I think for some people, like, it just wasn't, my JoJo stuff wasn't doing as well as other stuff. So hopefully this can kind of be a good kind of bridge between getting my fighting game audience to kind of cross over into the anime audience, and then maybe from there I can branch out. But that's all in the future. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Whatever happens. I'm fine with it, with everything. I really can't complain about my channel, my audience. I'm over the moon with how things have been growing and growing. But yeah, so that's it for now. I am actually leaving this time, I promise. So thank you again for watching. I will be back whenever we get more info on this game. So thanks again for watching, and I shall see you all later. Goodbye.
We await your return, warrior.